Much like Shannon Sharp on IG Live, we back, baby. Let's roll into another week. Get through this quick. I was 90% done the original record. Computer restarted. So excuse me for a lack of enthusiasm if I seem to be dragging behind, but what a great first weekend of things. What was not great was my scoring record. I went 1-5 on my picks. Got my game right though, so that's what matters. But every other one got it dead wrong. We'll break that down real quick, and then we will get into next week. So let's get into it. All right, quick breakdown here. Man, special teams and kickers had a week here this week in a lot of games, but this one especially. Bears got it done for me. Moody made it really interesting Monday night. Sucks for Amon Ra having a pretty weak scoring day. I didn't get much out of Henry and Kelsey, or DJ Moore for that fact, but Jaden Reed really carried the weight there for the boys. Two really good scores. Feeling really good about my squad. George should feel good about his too. Both two really good teams, I feel. Had a nice little battle. Moving on here. The powerhouse that we all expected in Team Nate, taking down Team Bucher. Anthony Richardson, what can you say? Fantastic, talented player. All three receivers putting up really nice days, and Brandon Aubrey putting up a nice 21 spot in the kicker position to really send this one home. Just unfortunate for Nick to run into the highest scoring team this week. Marvin Harrison with the 0.9 obviously stands out. And Jamar Chase with that whole Bengals situation with Burrow's wrist and just them looking really flat coming out week one. We'll see what it looks like moving forward. Really good showings from Kamara and Walker. I expect that to continue. And Fairbairn, not too shabby with 17 points himself. So not a bad week for Nick by any stretch. Just kind of ran into it a little bit. I could have seemed to bounce back for Bucher next week. And Team Nate, see if he can build some momentum here, be a contender. So Ryan versus Josh here, man, the couch got really fucked on here. Just kind of same old story here with Ryan. Just kind of team looks okay on paper. Team looks to be a winner. Just for whatever reason comes up a little flat with some of the players. A lot of down weeks here for a lot of guys. Jefferson, McBride, Adams. I don't know about Keon Coleman. Not bad. Not a bad first week. Lamar looked great. Fantasy wise and on the field. So I expect some bounce back for sure. Brian Thomas, Lockett looked good. So and Madison was a surprise for me with the Raiders. So a lot of potential roster moves as the week moves on here. Getting the lineup ready for Sunday. But I'll tell you, Brian Thomas looked pretty damn good for the Jags. That's kind of what we expected. But 95 is not going to get it done. Hoping to bounce back, I'm sure, for him. Josh, pretty solid performance. 103 would only beat two other teams other than Ryan that we'll get into later. Andrews and Olave, real bad stinkers. I don't expect that to be the norm. Pollard looked really good, so we'll see what he does with this three receiver with Diggs and these three running backs. Some question marks there for sure. Xavier Legette, I will say, did look good, only 6 points, but man, that offense didn't do anything for most of that game. And to come away with 6 points there, that's got to be kind of promising for him. This team is better than that. I expect some nice bounce backs, and CD with 11 is pretty low. So this team could definitely get the scoring back up. But nice to get a win when you don't have your best week. Moving on, Wazitsky waved the right flag here with McCaffrey on Monday night, down 35. I don't know if it mattered. He didn't have anybody to really replace him, and everyone was kind of locked in. So just kind of unfortunate the 49ers kind of screwed around with that. IR or not IR, the injury report and stuff didn't show any signs, and all of a sudden, boom, he's out. So kind of tough there. Moving forward, he could play next week. It could be a couple months. I've seen reports both ways, so we don't know. The Pittman concern was real for me, and it appears to be maybe an issue. Richardson, as explosive as he is, a little inaccurate with some of his passes. Missed Adonai Mitchell for 2, maybe 3 touchdowns against the Texans last week. So Pittman could definitely explode. But yeah, not great. Kincaid, that's going to be a one-off game. I think Allen's going to find him a lot more in the pass game. And, concerns with quarterback here. Rodgers didn't look bad, but fantasy-wise didn't look great. But Niners defense is pretty damn good. So, definitely expect to bounce back there. So a lot of bounce back in this team. And Worthy off the bench had a nice opening night against the Ravens. So I think there's a lot of good here to build upon. And this is still definitely a really solid roster. Milkman is doing what Milkman does. Tyree clocked it up, pun intended, for the boys. Cooper Cup back doing Cooper Cup things. So, and with Puka out, I mean, this team's gonna be really difficult to beat moving forward. I think with those two putting up 60 points a week between the two of them, probably a relatively likely scenario in a lot of cases. And Josh Allen hates passing the ball for touchdowns, so a lot of rushing there still. And yeah, really good squad for Milkman, like we expect anything else. So this was the game that I talked a little shit about, hyping up Justin, and man, did it disappoint. Mike came out, had a really nice week, but just to kind of talk about Justin's team real quick, Puka goes down, Mostert's out tonight. Some unfortunate scenarios there. Mixon looked really great. Zamir White, a lot of question marks on the team quarterback position too. With Justin looks a little questionable. Burrow's wrist again, like I mentioned earlier, didn't look great. And Caleb's a rookie, so we're just going to go through growing pains there. He doesn't run, unlike what the other quarterback we'll get into that started for another team in this league as a rookie. A lot of good here. Jameson Williams, Zach Moss look pretty solid, so I expect there to be some roster shakeups. And Brandon Cooks too, not to leave him out. So I think this team can still put a solid lineup out. But obviously not the start we wanted, and especially he wanted just off this league. And then just looking at Mike real quick, sucks to see Jordan Love go down, but Baker on the bench did a pretty damn good job, so not concerned there. Running backs all played pretty well. And Collins, I was concerned about him. That clearly was not a concern at all. Cowboys defense doing what they do. Isaiah Likely on the bench, he's stay. I expect him to be starting this week. So yeah, really good squad here. Good win for Mike. I expect this type of point production or greater to be a relatively consistent thing for this team. So final one here, Tyler here. The alarm bells are sounding. Drake London and ass. Kirk Cousins looked horrible. First game out after that Achilles injury, I believe, or ACL. I can't remember what it was. But nonetheless, did not look good. Steelers defense is good, but I don't know if they're that good to make him look that bad. So we'll see how he bounces back. London will have more than 2.5 points, I think, per week. But man, that's going to be a really big stinker for Tyler if he can't get it going. These running backs look really good. Has 4 good ones. If J.K. Dobbins has decided he's going to be a good player again and not injured. And Njoku down on injury, so we'll see what happens at tight end. But these running backs are going to carry this team. And if you can get a little bit more production out of the other spots, definitely solid and still a 112 piece again. That's a pretty good number to put up. That's going to win you a lot of weeks. So generally we've seen in the past with this league that if you score 100, especially later in the year as the bye weeks come in, things like that, you're going to have a good chance to win. So if you're putting up this kind of production, you're going to win some games for sure. And Ed going from last to first in our standings projections per ESPN, as ESPN does not really understand how fantasy football works. But yeah, I mean these running backs were as advertised. Wide receiver room a little concerning, but Tank Dell, McConkey, Shakir all on the bench, pretty solid game. So I'll say that he'll find a good lineup here, but these 3 running backs are going to be tough to deal with. And Jaden Daniels did not play a great game, but he ran a couple touchdowns in, used his legs well. I expect that to be kind of the norm for him. Bowers looked better than expected. So this team's going to be really tough. Really good start for Ed. And yeah, can't really ask for much more. Really solid week of production there. So moving on to this upcoming week. Let's see here. So we got okay. So we got Ryan and Nate. The Couch looked real bad last week, getting a point favored. See if there's any roster shakeups. I don't expect there to be really any. Lamar should have some success against this Raiders defense on the second and third levels. The defensive line's really good, but I expect screens, checkdowns, runs, Henry, all that. Lamar should have a pretty nice day. And the disrespect that Team Nate gets putting up a high score of the week and getting an underdog here. Green Bay's defense, they'll be on the field a lot, I think, because Malik Willis is not a very good quarterback. So I expect them to get some tired legs. Richardson, Taylor probably have really big days in my mind. And I think for that reason, and along with his other supporting cast of solid players, I think Team Nate gets the win here. And Ryan's fantasy woes continue. And, that's pretty unfortunate, but it just kind of is the nature of the beast. Team Nate, the powerhouse, is going to go 2-0, it looks like. So Pardon me while I get the right game up here for my line. All right, I got me versus Mike here. Mike's favored by 3 points. Probably the way these lineups are going to finish out. I'm concerned about Jaden Reed, just with no Jordan Love. I'm concerned if Malik Willis can even get him the ball. I think I'm going to run him out there and see what happens. But I think Derrick Henry is a really good bounce back week for me. And hopefully Kelsey can do the same. But I don't think it's going to be enough this week because I think Mike's got Likely in there. I think it's poised for another good game. I like a lot of Mike's matchups. Baker's playing well. Bijan against that defense going to get a lot of looks in the check down catching game, and Ramondre just gets fed the ball. So, yeah, I expect Mike to put up a pretty big number on me here. Mike probably wins by 10 is my early estimation, so I'm going to give Mike the win here. Moving on to, I really hate that does this shit. We got Bucher versus Mind Goblin. Bucher, well, Wazinski still got, he took him out. He took McCaffrey out. I don't think he's going to play this week, just my personal feelings of these projections. So, yeah, I mean, there's really, really solid squad for Bucher here. I think it's a big bounce week for, he took Marvin Harrison out. Well, I think it's going to be a good week for him. But Jordan Mason, nice pickup, especially if McCaffrey's not going to get run. Obviously, Mason showed he can carry his own load. And, with Walker, Kamara, we'll see with Chase. I mean, he's going to get some opportunities. And, yeah, I think there's a lot of good here. Interesting decision to bench Murray. He does historically not play very well against the Rams, to my understanding, and Minnesota's defense probably not going to do that well comparatively to what they did against the Giants. So I think that's not a bad play at all there. Looking at Wazinski's team, distinct with McCaffrey because that is your team. I mean, that's the gist of it. So I mean, I like what he's done with his lineup here. If this is probably what I would do if McCaffrey was out on my team. I think the 111 is a little disrespectful. Aaron Jones, I think, will definitely see some action, whether that's checkdowns and stuff and whatnot late in the game to get his point totals up. But yeah, I mean, I don't see Pittman having a big game just to the fact that I think it's gonna be a really ground heavy attack for Green or for the Colts against Green Bay. And I still think he has a good week, but I think Bucher's team just kind of poised here and kind of favorable that he misses McCaffrey to get a nice win here. We have Ed versus Justin in our next showdown. So just looking at these, I don't think Ed changes. He put McConkey in and Justin, put Zach Moss in, Jameson, bench a couple guys. All right. Well, I mean, pretty good rotations there, I think. The touchdown favorite to Ed definitely makes sense here. I think there's favorable matchups against Jaden Daniels against that terrible Giants team. Lab McConkey against Carolina, I think, is a really good insert. And these aren't running backs. I don't think they really matter who they play. They're just going to put up good numbers. See if Achane plays tonight. I don't love playing Thursday night guys in flex spots just for the lack of flexibility you do get with that, but that's personal preference. Really good roster. I think he's puts himself in a good position here. Justin definitely figuring some things out, trying to move the rosters around. I mean, I'm going to say the same thing again with Cincy. Joe Burrow. We'll see how he looks. Mixon against Chicago, pretty tough front to run on. And, Keenan Allen we'll see against Houston. Hopefully Caleb can play a little bit better for him. And J-Mo is definitely a boomer bust player. So hopefully he can find another boom. But yeah, I think the spread's probably about right. It feels like a good bet for me to take Ed with a touchdown here. Getting a win and alarm bell certainly sounding for a few teams in this league, and I think Jade Pizzle might be one of them. Moving on here to the Rock Boys versus George here, and pretty much dead even on the spread when I looked at this earlier. Shifted a little bit, favoring George slightly. Josh's dynamic duo of wide receivers, I think, is going to have a nice bounce back week. But maybe 40 to 45 between them both. Diggs, you could definitely see some regression because he had 2 touchdowns last week. But Andrew should bounce back. Jerome Ford, James Conner. I mean, they all should have pretty nice days. Dak will actually play in a competitive football game where he actually has to throw the ball in the second half. So that bodes well for Josh to put up a nice number. George is angry. George is moody. I almost pulled up the miracle last night. Amon-Ra's going to go nuts this week. I have a feeling. Pickens looks like a guy with Justin Fields. So I think that's who they're going to go with again. I like Josh's team. I think he's going to have a really nice week. Probably beat this projection, probably in the 120s, if I had to guess. I just like a lot of the matchups for George here. Rashad White against Detroit, going to get a lot of looks on the check down game, I think. Saquon's a beast. Chicago defense should keep Stroud tight as long as he doesn't turn the ball over. Doesn't really have a problem with that in his career, the short career, I should say, thus far. Malik Neighbors against a really soft Washington defense. Should have a nice day if Daniel Jones can figure out how to play quarterback in year 6. We'll find out. But yeah, I think George is just really poised to put up a 130 plus week. I think Josh get there too, but for that reason, I'm going to give the Moody White the win here, and I think it's going to be a good one though. I think this is probably like me and George's game last week, where they're two of the higher scorers. So, and looking at the last one here, we got the Milkman versus Team Coleman. Yeah, it's going to be. I'm surprised that Team Coleman's getting a lean here. Honestly, I think Tyreek Hill and Cooper Kupp's projections are super super low. You could honestly, realistically say they're going to put up 70 together. I think the back-to-back belt could be loading here for this team if Cooper Kupp's going to be like he was a couple years ago. You're getting two top level guys. ETN looked good last week. The Browns defense did not look good. Najee actually ran with some passion, which is surprising. Josh Allen tonight, he always torches Miami, it seems like. But I think these matchups a lot for Josh. And looking at Tyler, what did he do with tight end? Jawan Johnson did catch a touchdown last week. We'll see. Definitely not where you want to be. London and Kirk look terrible, so we'll see if London can bounce back against a tough Philly team on Monday night at the Link, I believe. At Philly. RB should have a nice day. I think that's going to be a consistent theme here. Did put JK in that flex spot against Carolina. I think that's a slam dunk play. Sucks you lose Montgomery because he is going to probably score, knowing him. I think Tyler, this projection feels good. Maybe a little bit higher. But I think Milkman probably is the high scorer of the week. Maybe breaks 140, 150. Dare I say 150. I think he's just going to roll here. I don't think it matters who's playing. Just that Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, like I said, probably 10 times now. It's going to be really, really tough to beat, especially with no Puka. So summation, stop sharing here. Just try to make this a quick little banger. In summation, Milkman, George, Ed, Bucher, Nate, Mike. That's the winners. And again, sponsored by Raid. Haven't moved that in a week. So just going to be a consistent sponsor, I think. On the podcast here. Again, I will put out the offer to anyone who wants to jump on here with me at some point next week and do the same routine. Just add a little bit more flavor to it, a little bit more variety than just me giving my own same opinions every single week. So just let me know if you are interested in jumping on. We'll schedule a time. And best of luck for everyone. Hopefully, for those who sports bet, we all have profitable weekends. And yeah, deuce.